Welcome, everyone. Thanks for watching. Hope you're doing well. My name is Brian Staskavich. All right, let's do this. So, as a personal update, after I published the first video, I took a huge step back from the school stuff. I haven't really been following it too much. That's because, as a family, we have decided to homeschool our children. So, that's why I did buy a new microphone. I hope you can tell. And I have been trying to record the second video for a while now, and either it comes off as goofy, preachy, or angry. I think goofy is probably the best of those three, so we're going to try to stick with that. Okay. So, first and foremost, I believe that community could use a little crash course in statistics, and I encourage anybody who has questions to contact a math professor, community college, and show them the first video and this video to make sure that my statistical information is correct, and see if they give a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I have taken a course in statistics. So the laws of statistics, these are laws of statistics. It says that if you have a community, let's just take Springfield, and you walk through that community and you pull out a random sample, let's say 100 people. That random sample of 100 people is going to be representative of the larger community. That small group of people of 100 that you selected is going to be very similar to the large group. And there are two factors in how statistics is determined. First one is the confidence interval. That's how it always says how confident you are in this. Usually it's 95%, 99%, 99.9%, et cetera, et cetera. And then you have a margin of error. And it's because sampling is not perfect. You're gonna oversample some people, you're gonna undersample some people. It's gonna happen. But as long as your N, the number of people that you sample, is large enough, 30 or greater is the rough rule of thumb. You can be below 30 in certain circumstances, but for cases of this, as long as you sample more than 30 people and your margin of error does not cross zero, or in this case 50%, you can start making predictions based off of that sample. That's the whole reason why statistics works. The whole reason why there's a national pollings and all that stuff. And I encourage you, go look up a national poll, see how many people they sampled. It's less than the amount of people who voted in Springfield. And they are able to make predictions on a national level election of 300 million people based off of 300 people, 1,000 people sample size. That's how it works. That's how it works. So in our town, when we have a quote unquote low voter turnout, the N is still actually huge. We can still say confidently, very, very, very confidently, that the town does not want the budget, the school budget. We can make the further observation that everything passed on town meeting day except for the school budget. If you were to go out and grab 500 more people, bring them to the polls and have them vote, the end result would be very similar. Remember, the confidence level, very high. The margin of error, very small. Last year, it was even wider. I believe it was even wider margins. And it still passed. So how did it pass? This is what the school is going to do. They are going to go to parents, and they're going to say, do you want X, Y, and Z for your child? Or something along these lines. And the parent's going to say yes. Like, okay, we need a budget. Here's a ballot, fill it out, mail it in. If the parent says no, they don't give them a ballot. And last year, if you go and look at the results of the passing budget and then you compare it to the previous one, you'll see that the no vote stayed basically flat, but the yes vote went up by like 200 or 300, I believe. That's a statistical anomaly. That does not happen naturally. It was an unnatural act. It was an anti-democratic act in order to pass the school budget. And they'll do the same thing this year. The problem is that when they go out and they grab those 200 or 300 parents and get them to vote yes, is that they are hyper-concentrating the no vote in the rest of the Springfield community. The percentage of no votes in the community starts going up as they start pulling out yes votes. So all the no vote has to do is get out the vote. You don't even have to ask how they're going to vote. You don't have to care, because out of 10 people you run into, 6 are going to vote no and 4 are going to vote yes. And if the school starts pulling out the yes votes, then 7 or 8 are going to vote no and 2 or 3 are going to vote yes. And we're going to get the same exact result not same exact result, we're going to get a very similar result, plus or minus a small margin of error. Democratically, The civic voice says that we do not want the school budget. And as I've been walking around town, casually talking to parents, listening to the board meetings, doing my research, I would say a very high percentage of parents, when there's nobody watching and they feel comfortable, their eyes will narrow. They'll get an angry look on their face and they will start spitting hot fire about Springfield schools. They'll talk about the bullying. They'll talk about the poor quality of education. One parent, and I hope she doesn't mind that I'm using her as an example because this is an outstanding one. Her child was struggling to read. She pulled her child out. She homeschooled the child. In 6 months, the child caught up. That should not be happening. The child had the potential. It's a smart child. This is a failure of the school. And that example is multiplied. It's just astounding. So it's not surprising that the school budget's not passing. In fact, it probably, if I had to guess, it would probably be not passing by higher margins if more people voted. But I can't say that for certain because the statistics say that it's around like 55-45, 53-47. Doesn't seem like a big difference, but in statistics, that's actually pretty big. Okay, so if you are a no vote, what is there to do? As I said, you go out, you do a get out the vote. You can be confident that most people you talk to are going to walk into the poll and say no. So what do we want? What do we want? Well, the no vote is the only way that we can have accountability, and we're using it. We've been using it. Springfield is one of the few school districts in Vermont that consistently can't pass a budget. And it's because the primary role of the school is not, and the board is not money, it's education. But the board does not want to talk about education because it's uncomfortable. There's a political theory that observes institutions and government, and I'm sure most of you have heard this. It's called institutional capture. It's when one government entity or private entity is an existential threat to another entity. The school is at the mercy, not the mercy, but the school requires the board for their money. Is an existential threat, not like, rah, 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 I'm going to get you. But, it's just like the school board can say, no, we're not going to give you the money you want. The existential threat. So the school gets board members on the board, and literally the name of the Facebook group, I was just crackling at this, is Friends of Springfield Schools. You are not, if you're a board member, you are not a friend of Springfield Schools. Especially not right now. But Vermont has that New England Puritan streak through it, so when uncomfortable stuff comes up, everybody looks down, kicks rocks, and they don't want to talk about it. Just pass the budget, and yeah, our schools suck. But if you want change, our only voice of accountability is no. The school board is going to threaten to take out sports. They are going to threaten to take out busing. And then they're going to try to put the blame on the no vote. The problem is that the no vote has a very legitimate request. And it's that we do not want to talk about the money. We want to talk about the education. Me personally, if I am tuning in to one of these board meetings, informational or a regular board meeting or otherwise, or if I'm there in person and they want to start talking about the money, I'm going to either close out the Zoom call or I'm going to get up and walk out. We're not talking about the money. You're not getting your candy until we talk about the education. And it's going to be uncomfortable, but we got to do it. The no stance of the no vote, for me personally, and I think this is completely legitimate, is that we will continue voting no until the school and the school board start demonstrating that they are taking the improvement of education seriously, that they are going to start putting in accountability. That if certain things do not happen, if the education does start improving, accountability will start happening. And if we have to keep voting no until we create a crisis, they're going to be like, well, we talk about, we're only maybe borrow 87%. It's going to cost us more money. We don't want to hear about the money. Don't talk about the money. I don't care. You are cutting sports. You are cutting busing because you do not want to talk about the education. Sorry, this is not really goofy. This is preachy and angry. Sorry, I got a little hot under the collar with this stuff. Um, they had the audacity last year to accuse us that we're hurting kids. No, my first video showed that you are hurting kids. Again, statistically, you put a kid in that yellow area learning their class, more than likely they are going to fall behind while they stay in Springfield schools. And that's why we're homeschooling. And I encourage others to homeschool. I do. It's not school at home. It's a completely different form of education. It's a better form of education. If you are got concerns, I mean, I had them. My wife was homeschooled. She's very plugged into the homeschool community. Reach out to me. We'll get you started. She even has curriculum, and we can even help you out with getting that curriculum. But the longer a kid stays in Springfield, the more they're hurt. The N of each class was above 30. The whole sample size, I think, was around like 800. Might have been 1,000 if you include high school. That is a huge sample size. There is nothing to manipulate about those numbers. We want to talk about the education. We do not want to talk about the money. We could talk about the money once we're done talking about the education. All right. That's it. Have a great day.